How is AI changing business, and how is business education changing in response? You're listening to the Get Smart podcast, and I'm Tom Vander. And today we have the good fortune to be speaking with Casey Evans. She's an associate dean for undergraduate programs at the Kogod School of Business at American University. Some have said that the transformation there in the last 2 years might be the most consequential AI transformation in business education. They have about 58 courses that have been transformed. Have a great partnership with Perplexity. They created an Institute for Applied AI, which is a very exciting multidisciplinary cross-campus hub. Casey, as a finance, as an accounting professional, I'm really interested in what's your take on what is happening with AI in business, and very specifically, how do you see it changing the nature of work, particularly in finance and accounting?
Great. Well, Tom, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm a member of the accounting faculty at American University, in addition to being the associate dean for undergraduate programs. So, with my hat as an accounting professor, and I spent a lot of time in consulting before joining the faculty, AI is changing the finance and accounting space just like it is everywhere else. I think where we're seeing the most change is just things can be done a lot more efficiently now. That took time in the past, much more time in the past. I think about I'm a forensic accountant by training, and when I started working, we would have to review every single email, every single piece of documentation just by reading it. And now we also got programs that helped us along, but now something that would have taken me a week to do can be done in minutes, right? And we're seeing that in every aspect of, the world of work. And you hear about that in marketing, you hear about that in finance. Our finance students, when they're starting their jobs in New York, let's say, they're doing financial forecasts again in minutes, where prior to, just a few years ago, it would have taken them weeks and weeks and weeks of research. The efficiency piece is really big. And so, what we had been hearing from employers really in the last 2 years is AI is becoming more and more part of our life. But we started to hear from leaders that this is going to be revolutionary, that AI in business is going to completely change business. And that theme has continued. We are still hearing a lot about that. And when our students would ask these leaders, will AI replace me? And still, the leaders are saying, no, AI will not replace you. But if someone knows AI and you don't, you're not getting the job.
Right.
And so we have adjusted accordingly based on what we're learning from those leaders.
I appreciate the take. The euphemism has become AI won't take your job, but somebody using AI likely will. So,
Right.
did you begin to observe that in 2022 and begin to understand that the profession is changing quickly, and that
Yeah.
the business school probably faced an existential threat of if you don't transform, you'll become irrelevant, right?
Correct. That's exactly we have coming out of COVID, thinking about how we need to completely revolutionize how we are teaching our students to best prepare them for the future of work. And coming out of COVID, we all, our faculty in the business school at American University, we're all thinking if we don't change, especially as a private school that needs to stand out and be special in order for people to want to come, we are going to be in real trouble. And so we completely redesigned our undergraduate core curriculum, and I'm happy to share details about that. But part of that exercise, it took about 18 months, was thorough discussions with leaders in industry, with our employers that were hiring our students out of school, talking about what do you need from our students, what do we need to better prepare them with, and we've adjusted our curriculum accordingly. And again, completely changed our undergraduate. It's our core business curriculum. Those are the classes that all business students take regardless of their major, to infuse it with AI, to also complement that infusion with AI with professionalism and communication at the same time. Because what we're also hearing from folks when we talk to employers and those that are leading a variety of industries is, yes, our students need to become prepared with AI literacy, but they also need to be able to communicate ideas, to think critically. If AI can do much of the legwork that was originally done by incoming consultants, let's say, they need, our students, we want to make sure they're good on like prompt generation and how to push AI to ask the right questions and go deeper in terms of the information they're able to get from it. And so that's really become more of the focus of what we're teaching our students to do.
I think it's been true for quite a while that most successful transformation initiatives combine sort of top down and bottom up change efforts and elements. I get the sense that was true at the business school, that there was some leadership from the top that helped I clarify, identify the mission, the mandate, that identified a change window, but that there was a lot of faculty involvement in piloting and reimagining what the curriculum could look like. Tell us a little bit more about
Yes,
the change process and the key elements.
it was absolutely a faculty driven, stakeholder driven project change. And that was the only way we could get it done. Is so we had a group of faculty that got together to say, yeah, and I'll give you an example. I'm an AU alum. I looked at my transcript from when I went to Kogod and studied accounting, and the core classes I took were pretty much the same as what we are
Right.
currently teaching our students, right? And it was just time for real change. What our old curriculum was very siloed. Our students weren't really understanding how, business is so interconnected. And so the fact our students were saying, well, I don't really know why I have to learn X. And to us, it was an important part of business, was telling us that we were not showing them how interconnected business really is. And so a lot of what we've done in terms of change is completely made our first year portion of our curriculum much more interdisciplinary and focusing on how connected business is. But it's faculty drove this change, and we did at least 6 months worth of research where we were talking to alums, employers, or students and parents, and wanting to know what they really needed, what they needed in terms of the world of work that they were planning to go into, and what they really, employers were saying, you need to do better here. And so the types of changes that we made were, again, to make it much more interdisciplinary. We started and we moved our core coursework to like the first year of school for our students. So normally when students go into business, it's like their junior and senior year, and they start a little later. All of our students start studying business now day one. And so they take 6 business classes in their first year at Kogod to really give them a good understanding of the foundation of business. And we've pushed again that core learning into year 1 and year 2, and they take their introductory classes in year 2 and then launch into their major much more prepared with how understanding of how business works junior senior year. And we rolled this new curriculum out this past year. It's working great. We're getting great feedback from our students. And what I also have loved is just the feedback that we're also getting from alums and guest speakers as they come in terms of like how they're receiving our students has been really great. I'll share that one of the big pieces I mentioned before that we've put into our curriculum is professionalism and communication,
Mm.
because a lot of the work that we did was focused on Gen Z and what Gen Z needs. Like our old curriculum was kind of more millennial focused. Our new curriculum is Gen Z focused. And Gen Z spent a lot of their high school years, at least our current students, during COVID, like these formative years. And what we learned about them coming as we were part of this research that we were doing, I'll give an example where we put on a great events. We're in DC. We've got great people coming in to speak to our students, but not as many students were coming to these really interesting events with major leaders in business. And we are just like, what is happening? Why aren't you guys coming? These are like really unique opportunities. You're not going to get them anywhere else. We kind of assumed they just didn't care or wanted to hang out with their friends, or it was like a sunny day, so they wanted to be on the quad. But what they told us was, no, we know it's really important. We know it's once in a lifetime opportunity, but we are afraid to go. We don't know how to act when we're there. I don't want to be that. They weren't comfortable getting into a situation where they might have to network or talk to people they didn't know, because they didn't feel like they had those skills. And, our students are coming to us very different, especially when we were coming out of COVID, and they didn't have so many of those personal interactions that they normally would in high school that would prepare them for those kinds of events in college, that we said, we're going to have to teach you then. If you're coming to us and you're not ready to like go to an event with, someone that you're never going to get the opportunity to hear from, we're going to teach you how to be. And so we put into one of those classes in the first semester, they take a professionalism and communication class, and they learn about how to write a proper email, how to, do a 1-minute pitch about themselves, how to work in teams, how to collaborate. And we're about a year into the new curriculum. We're hearing from our guest speakers and alums that have come back that have said, your students are coming up to us and after our, lecture are thanking us, and they're connecting with us on LinkedIn. And, it's really nice to see, because and our events are better attended now too, because instead of just assuming they were prepared, we learned okay, well, we're going to actually have to teach them how to be in these more professional environments, and can't just assume they know coming in. So that's been a great success story. That's kind of more Gen Z focused.
Those are exciting elements of a redesign. I love how you've prioritized the human skills. You made them a priority, and you put them early in the program. That I love the idea of getting students involved in that career connected learning right from the start, not waiting until their upper division studies. Casey, is this unusual at American or typical? Are there similar efforts underway at other schools? Or are you guys out in front?
I mean, in terms of our redesign, we're leading in that space, particularly around AI and what we've done there. I shared about what we've done kind of on the human side, the professionalism side. But we have been very focused on infusing AI into our coursework. And you'll hear a lot of schools are doing that too. I think what we can safely say is we are doing this strategically and program wide. And so what I mean by that is, if you think about our first year classes that I just mentioned, they're learning about professionalism, they're learning about how business works, but they're also being introduced to AI. They are in the first year level being told and taught how to think critically of it, because that's really what we want them to do first. Be critical of it, think about how it can really work to help you, and also how it may not be helping you at all. And learning about what our expectations are at Kogod in terms of its use. And then also learning about how it can make your project better. I've been thrilled over the last year to see my student deliverables actually, when they've used AI in a proper and guided way, they've gotten a lot better. And because in so many ways, some busy work has been taken out of just submitting a paper, they get a little more time back, and they're able to go deeper in terms of the content that they're writing about, which has been fun to see. Their presentations are, when they're using AI to create nice slides, again, are a little more substantive, and they just look better organized. And so I've been happy to see again that that first year, when we're kind of just teaching them how to use it generally, the success that we've seen. And then in the second year is when they do their intro to finance, marketing, management, accounting classes. We're teaching them in those spaces how to start to use tools that are specific for, let's say, finance, marketing, et cetera. And then by the time they're launching into their major, they're going using AI tools that are unique to their major much more deeply. And then when we get there, the goal is, at the end, they do a capstone course where they also, in addition to really going deep in the area that's their major, will also be using AI deeply as well. And so again, this isn't just an elective here and there that we have infused AI into. We are intentionally making sure that all of our students are very comfortable with it. And, in addition to that, it doesn't matter what you study. you're going to get access to AI. We have just this year or have rolled out an AI major, a minor, specialization, badges, like a lot of different ways that students can also just show the world that they are not only AI literate, but proficient and then some, depending on how deep they want to study.
I think yesterday you may have announced a new business analytics and AI degree. It's an undergraduate major and minor.
Yeah. It was just approved by our board of trustees yesterday. And yeah, so we're thrilled about that. So, and it's something that our students can major in if they're business students, if they, students that come to American University, if they want to study communications or political science or international service, as they commonly do, they can still minor in get an AI minor in business, right? And so we're trying to make it so it's accessible to everyone. And then those that are, say, really interested in learning about AI, but they want to major in something else, we've got badges and things like that that they can earn, again, to get proficient in it and then some.
Casey, we haven't talked about entrepreneurship, but we appreciate Ethan Mollick at Penn pointing out even in 2022 that AI was going to be a big deal for entrepreneurship, and he was early in illustrating how it could be used to improve entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship education. Charles Fidel, a scholar around student outcomes, has said entrepreneurship is the job of the future. Is that a higher priority at the business school, and the skills that go along with it, the agency, the initiative taking, are those part of this initiative?
Yeah, so I completely agree. Teaching entrepreneurship really helps teach about business in the way that I mentioned before, that's really interdisciplinary and connected. And so, like our intro to business course, we teach from an entrepreneurial lens because entrepreneurs have to know all of it, right? Like
Right.
you don't just get the benefit and the luxury of saying, "Oh, I only want to worry about the marketing piece." Like entrepreneurs have to know absolutely everything. And so, as an example, with our first year students, again, with that entrepreneurial mindset, because we have them do a project that's a new product launch. They come up with a product. They have to figure out how they're going to finance it, how they're going to market it, where they're going to place it, what's the supply chain issues they need to think about, what are the management pieces around the team they're going to build. And then they have to pitch it to an angel investor at the end of the semester, kind of like Shark Tank ish, and do a presentation along with that. But they create their own product. They act as entrepreneurs and then apply everything they've learned in the class. If all of our students, regardless of what they were studying, have an entrepreneurial mindset, I agree that that's a great way to view the future of work because they have to do it all as entrepreneurs.
I want to talk about credentialing and licensure. So I guess first question would be accounting, to some extent finance, and definitely law are gated by professional licensure.
Mhm.
I get the impression that they're moving slower than you are to sort of reimagine entry into the profession. What's your take on licensure and more broadly signaling, and how has that impacted the work that you've been leading at American?
Yeah, I can speak a little more specifically to the accounting space. There is movement, more so just to reduce the barriers of entry that have been built up over the years. There's a shortage of accountants. There's a lot of folks retiring. I can speak in academia when and many institutions are like this. We don't have the supply currently studying accounting to fill the gap that's going to be there when a lot of folks start to retire. And so the profession recognizes that the barriers that have been built over time need to be reevaluated and adjusted so we can get more people into the profession. And then that they've changed the exam to make it a little more accessible as well. We've had to do this in higher ed too, where it's just like you don't want to have barriers where people who, if they want to study the profession or could get into the profession, can't because you've created too many hurdles for them to clear.
Right.
And so I think about it like our accounting curriculum. It's we prepare our students to be well prepared to take the exam. So substantively, the contents is still very much the same. But, you know, I have seen like in the profession instances where so if it's more of a survival thing, there are adjustments.
Are you are you seeing increased demand for your, I guess, your undergraduate and graduate level
Mhm.
programs as a result of the redesign? And are you thinking about new post baccalaureate, executive programs, short sprints, certificates?
Yes and yes. We've been really happy that because of the buzz around Kogod and what we're doing in terms of AI, and substantively what we've done to just completely change our undergraduate core curriculum, we have seen in a time where higher ed is a challenge right now. You know, schools are competing for a lot of the same students, you know, and admissions is it's tough now, but we've been really happy that within Kogod, our numbers continue to go up. Like if I think about our incoming class for fall of 24, it was our largest class that we've ever had within Kogod. And then our incoming class for fall of 25 is even larger than what we had the previous year. And when you ask students, like, you know, what made you choose us over all those other great options you had? It's the buzz around what we're doing around AI, the changes to the curriculum. Their students really like the fact that they can take business classes day one with us. They don't have to separately apply to get into the business school. They can start studying business as soon as they get here. And those are things we also have small class sizes and other things like that that are really appealing to students. We are starting to venture into the exec ed space and talking more about that and developing. I think we've got one or two partnerships that are under, you know, kind of getting developed right now because we are hearing from alums and companies in DC that are saying, "Hey, we'd love for you to come and train our folks on, you know, what AI tools, AI, get them a little more AI, you know, ready," which we're starting to explore too.
That's super exciting. I love the idea of that minor because every field has become computational, and
Mhm.
what you've enabled is you can do biology plus your business analytics and AI. You can
Totally.
do journalism plus business analytics and AI. So it's a very cool idea. We're talking to Casey Evans. She's the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs and Student Success at American University. As we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to give a shout out to folks that have been key to your learning and to this initiative. But first, I wanted to ask you about Perplexity. It sounds like you've had a useful partnership
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah. We are very excited about our partnership with Perplexity. You know, one of their partner schools where all of our students, faculty, and staff have access to their pro version. And in our classes, our students are using Perplexity to work on assignments, to submit, to do in-class activities, to do their own reading, research. And in a lot of our classes, we also use with their Perplexity spaces that I've had a lot of fun with. So it's, you know, I use it in my class where, you know, I can kind of create my own ecosystem for students and I can feed it all of my lectures, my class specific content, and then students can go to that Spaces chatbot and it helps them study for the upcoming exam. And so we're continuing to pilot interesting things with them. And we've gotten some really great response from faculty and students and even our staff on the infusion of Perplexity into kind of our daily lives. It's been great.
Awesome. Sounds like they've been a great partner. Casey, who else would you like to give a shout out to? Somebody that has been instrumental in this transformation?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been really fortunate to have a wonderful leader in our dean, David Marchick. He's the one that's really pushed us to just be open to change. I mean, I think in academia, sometimes that's actually, you know, tough. And so it's been a lot of fun for me to see. I've been at AU as a faculty member for like 14 years now, and I just haven't seen the type of energy and openness and excitement around change and new things in the way that I have under his leadership. And so he has really helped us move the needle in a very substantive way. And so really grateful on his leadership and helping us get to where we are. We're really excited about it. We've got, a great provost and Vicki Wilkins, who's a wonderful supporter in all that we're doing. And then my colleagues on our Kogod faculty, all the hard work and that they've done to make these changes. And what's been so great to see is how folks just want to make positive change so we can support our students and help our students be successful. Like that is the root of everything that we do. And it's been really nice to see like colleagues get excited about making change that we know will positively impact our students. So great group.
Casey Evans, American University. It's an exciting story of responsiveness and agility at a business school that's really very quickly transformed both undergraduate and graduate education in the nation's capital. Check it out online. There's a lot of great stories about the work that Casey is leading there. Casey, thanks for being with us. And thanks to our producer, Mason Pasha, and the whole Getting Smart team. Until next week, keep learning, keep leading, and keep innovating around AI and education. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Getting Smart podcast today. We want this podcast to be actionable, insightful, and a great way to learn about what's next in learning. In order to stay on the cutting edge, we need people in the field to tell us what they're hearing, what they're wanting, and what they're needing to learn more about. Got a topic or a guest in mind? Send your recommendations to me, Mason at gettingsmart.com. And if you like what you're hearing, don't forget to leave a review in Apple Podcasts or subscribe wherever you listen. Feel free to share the podcast on social media using the hashtag GSPodcasts. Thanks so much.